the Joker issue 3. I'm glad I'm reading it because there's a lot of interesting stuff going on here for Bat-related stuff, particularly Gordon and Barbara, and some interesting beats here. So, yeah, so this is obviously James Tynion the Fourth. Gilliam March, unfortunately, on the art, which is the biggest detriment the book has. The book starts with kind of a Gordon thinking about killing Joke, at the fairground, and sort of what Joker tried to make him go mad that day, and how he wonders that sometimes Joker didn't succeed, but sometimes he's worried that maybe he did in some small ways that he can't quite comprehend. And he talks about how he used to get mad at Batman for focusing on the costume villains when the real threats were the more corruption and things like that, but over time, of course, he saw that, yeah, we all took Joker far too lightly when he first appeared. We all took him as this guy who was seeking attention, and clearly he's much more dangerous than that. But, so, Gordon is getting on the private plane to go and hunt Joker. Cressida, or whatever her name is, she's seeing him off, and you weren't here for the last issue of this, Matt, when where the ending revealed she was doing this to get basically accepted into the Court of Owls. So there's a lot of stuff going on here.
Oh boy.
A lot of stuff going on here, tying to a lot of things. But he's given basically a limitless credit card to do what he wants with while he's on this mission. And she even encouraged him to enjoy it a little bit. Get a nice room, get a nice meal when you land, kind of thing. So he goes in. The big masked henchman is on the flight with him. Who may or may not be Bane, but that's maybe a bit too obvious. But what's interesting is we cut back to, so he texts Barbara to say, I'm on the plane, and Barbara's like, yes, I'm monitoring. And this is where we get really interesting, because she turns to Steph. Steph's in the room with her, and Steph complains a little bit. It's like, hey, why am I doing the boring work? She's like, here, you're going to help me deal with this data. And she's like, yeah, but that's not as cool as what Cass is doing. And Cass is actually in pursuit. She's actually on the car that Cressida's in, because they're going to find out who she is and where she's from and what's going on with her. So she's actually got the Batgirls doing recon and other work that's going to tie into finding out what's going on here with these characters. So again, it really feels like it's part of Gotham right now and part of the Gotham world. So that stuff's really neat. I really like that inclusion. Obviously, I'm always going to, but I love that, much like Babs, Cass and Steph are a consistent part of the world that are being called upon to help with things. It's very neat. So we get a reminder that there's some other characters coming for Joker. The family, the Texas Chainsaw style family, the supporters of Bane from Santa Prisca, who are coming on a ship. There's people coming after Joker who aren't just Gordon. So there's like a momentum building to this crescendo, and the middle of this issue is actually really cool. It's Gordon basically trying to talk casually with locals and Belize to find out where Joker might be, because they speculate that there's a safe house somewhere here, which is correct. And he's basically just, and it's almost, do you know what this is almost? It's good detective work from Gordon and him with his people skills, try to talk to them to find out if there's stories of stuff happening somewhere. And he's basically yeah, no one's ever going to go after the people who have set up these safe houses because they're too powerful, but the people who work in the area, the people who have to go there and clean the houses, or have to go there and do the plumbing or whatever, they'll hear things, they'll see things, and they will talk. And it kind of, the way they kind of go all hush when they start talking about a certain house, it's kind of almost like a horror movie, where it's the one house they don't talk about because, if you go there, you're going to die. kind of thing.
It's the old Myers house.
The old Myers, or it's Crazy Ralph. Yeah. It's got a death curse. It's that. So I was kind of digging the vibe of this, actually, because it was very much that horror movie kind of vibe. But it's done through the guise of this police detective sort of investigation angle, and Gordon's good at his job. So he hears enough creepy things about this one area that everyone's scared to go to, that he gets the hunch that he's going to go there. And it kind of subverts your expectations, because as soon as he goes to the door, Joker just opens it and says, "Jimbo, is that you?"
Oof.
Why are you making it? Joker's here. Of course, it's called the Joker, Matt.
No. That sight, though, is terrifying. The Joker being excited to see you?
Oh, sure, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was making it for.
Okay. So what's interesting about this is that it's kind of doing something very interesting with the premise here, because Gordon pulls his gun, and Joker kind of smiles, and then all of a sudden there's a lot of red laser sights on Gordon's forehead. There's like a team of shooters behind Joker, who I don't actually think they're working for Joker. I think this is people who are here for Joker, or maybe they are working for Joker, and that's because he's expecting people. But he's like, "Hey, Gordon, we're still friends, right? You know that whole thing in Arkham a month ago? Someone gassed it." He's like, "Yeah, you killed a lot of people." He's like, no. That, as crazy as this sounds, that wasn't me. But someone wants everyone to think it's me, and we know it wasn't him. We know it was Scarecrow related. And then after this, you get shots of some of the Santa Prisca Bane looking costume people in the jungle coming like they're like a team from Predator. And then you get the crazy family on the bus, who they've basically stolen a bus and killed everyone on board, and they're coming in to get Joker. So there's this crescendo coming, and then the cliffhanger of the book is Joker grabs a couple of machine guns and says, "Keep that gun drawn, Jimbo. You're going to need it." And it says, "Next war buddies." So do you know what it's doing? It's putting Gordon and Joker in an almost Assault on Precinct 13 style scenario, where all these people are coming to hunt Joker. And Gordon's being a good person isn't just going to let them kill Joker, and they're probably going to try and kill him too because he's just there.
Well, so it feels to me like Tynan's whole mission statement on this was, it's that Gordon defies Joker at every time. So that whole everyone's just one bad day away from becoming Joker,
which he mentions at the start. He actually quotes that line when Gordon's thinking about it. Yeah,
right. So Tiny's going, not Jim Gordon. He was never close. And this is why. Because someone's coming to kill Joker. He could just let him. He won't. No. He's Jim Gordon.
Even though it's hanging over his head that he's here to kill Joker. Even though that's in his mind the whole time. So, furthermore, I will reiterate this again. This is a Jim Gordon book. It's not really a Joker book. Joker's a prominent character in it, sure. But it's a Jim Gordon book. And the way this is built by dealing with Gordon's own trauma, and then issue 2 being Barbara, like him revealing that he's known that she's been Oracle and Batgirl this whole time, and that the progression that comes from that, and then this ending with a tease of an Assault on Precinct 13 thing where he's going to have an uneasy alliance with a Joker just to survive. All of this is great. The worst thing about it's the art, because it's Gillen March.
Yeah.
And some of it's not as bad as it can be. Some of it's just as bad as you think it's going to be. But the art's the worst thing about it. I'm actually really digging the story of this. It's doing smart things. The biggest problem with this book is that they called it The Joker, which is understandable because that'll sell more copies because it's called The Joker. But the biggest problem for people who groan at that is that it's not really a book that should be called The Joker.
No, but then they do the whole bait and switch price thing too, because had they not done that with the price, I might be checking it out, but now out of principle.
I mean, but that's a problem that's separate. That's got nothing to do with the rating.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if this was, Streets of Gotham or whatever, with the subtitle of The Joker, okay, and then but it being $1 more, come on, DC.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously its own problem, and that's why I had originally stopped reading it until Patreon stepped in and made me read it. But that's a separate thing. Like, in terms of what the story is actually doing, it's actually doing some really solid stuff for Gordon's character and progressing even his relationship with Barbara, and Assault on Precinct 13 style like standoff with Joker and Gordon working together like reluctantly. There's a lot of potential in that I don't dislike. So, I'm game. So that's the main story. I would happily. It's weird rating because I don't like the art.
So usually what Connor does, and then give it a straight 5. Like, if it's a decent art, it would make up.
That feels disingenuous though, because I enjoyed it more than that. So
give it a 6 then.
I'm gonna give it a 7.
There you go.
A 7. With good art, it would be at least an 8, if not like 8.5 or something like that. But I'll give it a 7. The backup story, Harper Row is with Punchline's friend from college, who seemed to be very much involved with all of her antics before she became Punchline. He seems to have changed and is scared of everything. He's shown Harper the storage closet or locker that has all the stuff that she had before. This is where he put it after the police just kind of left it behind, and he shows her the fact that they've got original like recordings of like Joker's interviews from Arkham and stuff like that they got like on the black market and all sorts of things. It basically just builds to a big reveal where he actually is still worshipping the Joker, and he's trapped her there because there was like basically paralyzing gas in something that he shows her. So Harper's left, and he starts like pouring gasoline around, and he's like, "Hey, Punchline might have got to hang out with the Joker, but I'm actually going to murder someone first." And that's kind of the cliffhanger of this backup story.
Yikes!
So that's going on. Meanwhile, the subplot here is that I can't remember her name, the leader of the Royal Flush Gang in the prison, she is sending Orca to either kill or at least beat up Punchline, and Punchline fights back a little bit, but there's a 2-page layout where there's a big fight, and then Orca sort of picks her up at the end though, as if she's kind of regretting doing this much damage to her. So that's just kind of all we get of that. So I mean, these are obviously very short. And this effectively, I've just summed up everything that happens. Really, the cliffhanger is the big thing, though. I mean, I'm enjoying it well enough. I think it's one of those things where it's just a little bit too short to really get too invested in one particular chapter. I think once you can put all these backups together, they complement what's going on quite well. Because I think the story of Punchline and Harper and talking about people being indoctrinated into her bullshit, much like Harper's brother, there's a lot of stuff there that I think complements what's going on with Tynion's Gotham in general. There's not a lot to talk about in them on their own, though. It's kind of like talking about a digital issue. It's just too short to have too much to say. But it's perfectly fine, though. So I'll give this a perfectly solid 7 as well, because the art's better for one, and I would say the story's not as good as the main, but of course the art's better, so I'll say it evens back out to a 7.